We want to talk about data. Data is gold, and one of the things that I found is that newspaper organizations understand in their bones the value of their circulation data and treat it really carefully, but aren't necessarily as up on the gold that's in their digital data.
I think it's important to distinguish between what metrics makes sense and what data makes sense and what doesn't. I think as an industry we have really abdicated the responsibility of understanding the relationship our readers have with advertising on our platforms. We gave that away to the double clicks and everybody else. And the consequence of that is that we know so much about what our readers do with our content, and we know so little about what they do with advertising. And I think it's important for us to kind of think of data and think of what we can do with it as a significant source of revenue in addition to advertising and in addition to subscription revenue. And one of the things we have to do before we actually monetize data is to stop its leakage. And the biggest leakage is the number of third parties we voluntarily allow to be on our websites.
Let's say, for example, in our newspaper, so that's the case for many news outlets, we have a fairly big conference business, a high margin conference business. I mean, once we detect someone that based on his or her past behavior on the site, the pages he or she visits and so on and so forth, we are able to detect exactly what is the profile of this person, the level of income, the center of interest, and so on. Let's say we are having some difficulties to close the registration for a conference about finance. When we detect all the persons in the finance community who might be interested by this very topic about a European regulation on finance and stuff, we might be able to serve a page to this person with a kind of advertising saying, hey, for you, 60% of discount, valid 24 hours, click here now. That's the way we can sell ancillary product in a very efficient way.
I think the key is that you don't need to own all the data. What you need to do is have access to the data and the permissions at that moment in time in which a decision is made. And so, in many cases, the marriage of your own publisher data with advertiser data at that moment in time, recognizing that the permissions are in place such that you cannot use the advertiser data outside that moment in time, and they cannot use your publisher data outside that moment in time. That's where some real magic starts to happen. What I would urge all of you is to protect your data. Permissions are the new patents, and you ought to be collecting those as chits and trading them. And so it starts with your own consumer privacy policy, that it needs to be explicit, they need to understand what you're going to do with it, and you need to ask for permission to go beyond just using the information on your website to maximize your usability.